Matthew Ward, September 9, 2011. With loving greetings from all souls at this station, this is Matthew. Billions upon billions of sparklers aptly describes your world as we see it, with countless sparks of light radiating from light workers and spiritually awakening souls. This is a splendid way for you to think of your world and to visualize it too, so as to lift the lower vibrations of those who see it as topsy-turvy because they don't understand the changes afoot. The Illuminati do understand, and they are not handling the changes at all well. It is as if they are on a roller coaster that once had powerful highs with few mild dips, and now the ride is bunched up wobbly lows. Because the makeup of dark hearts and minds is fear, they need fear to sustain themselves. It is their fuel, and they know it is running low. Instead of dwelling on fearful feelings, many people are being stalwart, innovative and ingenious as they deal with difficult circumstances. They are bartering goods and services, sharing resources and residences, or receiving other types of assistance. The caring of the helpers and the gratitude of the receivers is generating brilliant light. As for the Illuminati, compared to their former iron grasp on the global economy, they have but an iota of maneuvering capability left. All of their major terrorism attempts since 9/11 have failed. Members and their minions are defecting from the ranks. Although they still have the ability to manipulate weather and originate earthquakes, their intended massive death toll and devastation consistently is lessened by spaceship crews and their technology. The focus on peace keeps growing worldwide, and weary troops have no more will to fight. Demands for alternative energy sources to oil and nuclear power are gaining strength, much to the dismay of the Illuminati, who profit handsomely from those power sources. And worst of all for the Dark Ones, their eternal nemesis, light, keeps intensifying. To cling to the fragile remnants of their former control, they have to refuel themselves, and disseminating fear-filled information is one means left to them. Unfortunately for the unwary, in this the Illuminati are masterful. They still have enough media control to assure that on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, you will be inundated with photos of planes hitting the towers and other pictures along with sorrowful stories, all strategically selected to spike emotions of anger and revenge to keep violence going, and, predictably, they are circulating reports of possible terrorist attacks on September 11th. You know the importance of discernment about all information in mainstream media, internet reports and telepathic transmissions, and whenever the opportunity arises, please alert people to the purpose of widely publicized information based in negativity. The faster fear is quelled, the sooner the recalcitrant Illuminati will have no choice but to accept that the long era of their self-serving systems is over. Not only have their one-time firmly entrenched strongholds been dislodged, but they have been told that their end is inevitable. Individuals from highly advanced civilizations who appear in their natural forms so there can be no mistake whatsoever of their identity and reason for being on the planet, have advised them of the consequences if they continue refusing to cooperate with the light forces. Still, no one in the light is underestimating the tenacity and ability of the Illuminati to create havoc for a while longer. Because greed and lust for power are so deeply inculcated in the darkest of the dark, they still are in denial that their efforts to hang on will be futile. Implementing new systems to serve all peoples is underway, however, much of this activity is still under wraps, and this is purposeful. Third-density psyches have limited capacity to assimilate dramatic differences in one fell swoop, particularly in conjunction with the many truths that will be revealed. The turmoil in your world today is the struggle of duality, the light vs the darkness and souls. Many thousands of people from other civilizations, including reptilians, are living on the planet. Most are in the light, others are not. Creator Source is the supreme being of the cosmos. God is the supreme being of this universe. Other gods or goddesses reign over the other universes. The beginning of eternal life is the total light love energy of Creator, and the goal of every soul throughout multiple lifetimes is to return to that pure essence. Each person is a god or goddess, inextricably and eternally connected with Creator, God and each other. Religions develop into mind control of the masses, and both heaven and hell are in Earth's one spirit world. Every soul has homosexual lifetimes as advanced steps toward androgyny, the balance of feminine and masculine energies that souls need to continue evolving spiritually and intellectually. For millennia, the Illuminati and their forebears have adversely impacted every aspect of life on Earth. Some of the most powerful individuals on the planet have been cloned by the Illuminati, sometimes against the person's will. In the case of death or replacing the live person with the clone, the continuity of those influential positions is preserved. Linear time exists only on Earth. The reality is that past, present, and future is a series of events happening simultaneously in a continuum. Earth is a highly evolved soul on a swift ascension course that is nearing fourth density, and she will continue on to her destination in fifth. Can you imagine your reaction if suddenly you were confronted with all those truths and others like the real perpetrators of 9/11, along with adjusting to profound changes? Even with measured release of evidence and initiation of new systems insofar as possible in the months to come, it will be an overwhelming challenge for the many who still are slumbering unaware, and your calming influence will be greatly needed in the months ahead. Simply by staying steadfast in the light, your innate wisdom and spiritual strength will guide you in all assistance endeavors. We know that many of you are experiencing periods of considerable unease mentally, emotionally, or physically. We hasten to assure you that in most cases, depending on soul contracts, those are natural reactions to the multitude of differing vibrations emanating from everything that is happening in your world. Actually, in the universe, where massive energy fluctuations are happening as the light battles the darkness. Because Earth is a microcosm of the universe and each of you is a microcosm of Earth, you are affected minutely by universal events because everything everywhere is related. However, you are immeasurably more affected by the closer energies on the planet, where the high vibrations of the light are in conflict with the low vibrations emitted by dark individuals, their misuse of technology, and the anguish and physical suffering their activities cause. This conflict and your unsettled feelings will ease as the light continues to vanquish the darkness. Furthermore, you have the ability to help yourselves in the vibratory respect. It is understandable that the plight of many millions of people and animals is extremely distressing to sensitive, caring individuals, but please do not allow your emotions to be drawn into their traumas. The low vibrations of distress about others' anxiety, hopelessness, and especially fear fracture the balance you need to keep your light steady, and that fracturing helps none of those many millions or you. Through the laws of physics that govern life in this world, low vibrations manifest more of themselves. They shoot out into the universal soup and bring back to you more of the very same kinds of vibrations. The same laws apply to the high vibrations of compassion and love, of course, and in far greater measure because the light in those emotions is so much more powerful than the negativity in low vibrations. Think of an electric fan, how much more effectively it functions when its setting is on high. Emotional vibrations work like that too, with the difference that a fan has to be turned on and emotions are instantaneous responses to thoughts. Thoughts also emit vibrations, which is why changing a thought from negative to positive automatically uplifts your spirits. You started vibrating on high. That isn't just an exercise idea that can help you feel more at ease, it is science. Everything comes from in as energy, which is neutral, impartial, and has no reasoning ability. Without the capacity to differentiate good from bad, energy simply follows the instructions you give it via your thoughts and feelings, and that is where physics' law of attraction, or like attracts like, comes in. Send forth the energy of love's high vibrations and scientifically you reap the grand harvest from what you have sown. Although praying for self for an individual or for many people or for Earth herself is perhaps the most common way you express interest and caring, prayer is not correctly understood. You think of it as some formal petition such as the Lord's Prayer or a special request for something good to happen to self or others or verbal thanks, like blessings at mealtimes. All of those are indeed aspects of prayer because your every thought, feeling, motive, and action is prayer. Your entire lifetime is prayer. Like everything else in existence, prayer is energy and it follows the directions you give it. However, it won't necessarily produce the results you want. As intensely personal and precious as each soul's life is to God, still each is governed by universal laws. Let us say you are praying for a loved one's recovery, and because the illness is so severe, you are afraid she will die and urgently pray that she won't. Two factors enter into this, and the more important is that a person's soul contract always takes precedence. Since you don't know what she chose in her contract, the most beneficial prayer is for her highest good. You don't know anyone's contract, not even your own, so always that prayer, which has no limitations, is the most beneficial. The other factor is, the urgency in your prayer fractures your energy. That lowers your vibratory level, and because your thoughts and feelings are directed to the person you love, you are sending her equally low vibrations, exactly the opposite of what you want. The vibrations of love and light are identical because they are the very same energy expressed differently, and only for simplicity in speaking do we usually say light or love. As the pure essence of Creator Source, this energy is the most powerful force, the highest vibrations in the cosmos, and by natural extension, in our universe. When you are thinking about someone you love, your thoughts are the address to which your love energy is sent, and not only does it reach that person, it keeps flowing out into the world and touches lives wherever love's high vibrations are needed. The universe automatically handles this in its continuous balancing act, so the healing power of love is available to all receptive souls. Love is the key to everything. Please keep this foremost in mind when the ones still hidden behind their dark deeds are identified. Do not dim your light by focusing on punishment for them, but rather think of them as what they are, weakest links in the chain of oneness, and send them the healing energy they need to uplift themselves and strengthen the chain for all souls. Now let us put those universal laws into the context of the collective consciousness, where their power is incalculable. Especially in these last stages of Earth's ascension, when the swiftness of change from the old to the new will be upsetting too many, you can raise their vibrations with steadfast thoughts about the world you want for your children and their children, and thereby contribute mightily to the light that is ushering in Earth's golden age. Various start dates of that age have cropped up, each claiming to be the correct one. Earth's ascension out of deep third density is a unique universal undertaking, unprecedented in scope and speed, and there are certain stages along her course that are more propitious than others for energy surges. The parameters of the celestial window between third and fourth densities have flexibility, and the planet's entry into fourth doesn't need to be tied to some specific date on your calendar. Also, there are differing opinions about which density you're in right now, and no wonder. By our numbering densities to indicate advancement, it does sound as if one part of space comes to an abrupt end and at that point another begins, and that isn't so. There's no finite demarcation between densities. The flowing of energy cannot be sharply divided or compartmentalized. As Earth ascends through the last wafting energy streamers of third density, which commingle with the first streamers of fourth, you won't notice a dynamic difference from one day to the next. There will be no ribbon-cutting ceremony, so to say. The confusion about density is compounded because the word has two definitions. One is mass, or the placement of a mass as distinguished from discarnate without body or form, which is how you think of souls in spirit. You can't see us even when we are standing beside you because our etheric bodies vibrate at frequencies that third density vision cannot detect, just as you cannot see blades of a fan on its highest setting. But indeed, etheric bodies have a degree of mass that lessens in density as souls continue to evolve spiritually. And that brings us to the other meaning of density, which denotes the status of a soul's spiritual evolution. Earth's planetary mass started spiraling from its plane of manifestation in fifth density as negativity amassed in the collective consciousness of her ancient civilizations. The planet's descent continued in consonance with the inhabitants' reduced evolutionary status as darkness increased in their thoughts, motives and deeds, and eventually the planet reached deep third density in mass and her population regressed to that density in spiritual status. However, throughout the millennia that Earth's body and the collective consciousness of her peoples were mired in that low density, Gaia, Earth's soul, remained in the much higher energy plane where her planetary body was created. And some souls who incarnated on Earth during those millennia, God's messengers and some visionary philosophers, scientists and artists were highly evolved souls spiritually and intellectually. At this juncture in Earth's ascension, her planetary body has reached high third density placement in its galaxy. While the bodies of many of her residents also are at that density mouse-wise, bodies of persons who have embraced the light are being changed into fourth density at cellular level. In spiritual evolution, the residents range from second density to seventh, and a few have evolved to first in this lifetime by the darkness of their free will choices and their persistence in consciously refusing the light constantly beamed to them. Almost all light workers who incarnated to complete third density karmic experiencing have done that successfully, and they have attained fourth density spiritually. Most souls who left their homelands in advanced civilizations to assist Earth's less evolved souls have retained their fifth, sixth or seventh density spiritual and intellectual evolvement status. Why is Earth going to stop at fifth density instead of continuing into higher planes? When she reaches fifth, where her planetary body originated, it will be back in balance and contentedly orbit in that space. Now there is more to be said about vibrations. The vibratory levels of sound affect mental, emotional, physical and spiritual bodies positively or negatively. Noise jolts your entire energy system. Noise from a gunshot, car backfiring or thunder, for instance, has a short-lived impact. Noise from an evening of ruckus or dissonant music, for example, or a day of working with roaring machinery has exponentially longer-lasting and more adverse effects. When that kind of noise is unavoidable, its effects can be somewhat ameliorated with as much solitude and serenity as the affected persons can manage. The soft, gentle tones of melodious music, the sound of flowing waters and the energetic emanations of trees are extremely restorative and helpful in regaining the light within balance. In addition to the sound of words, the words themselves have vibrations. Loving words spoken sweetly by parents to their children are nurturing and assist them in achieving balance. Conversely, not only does yelling harsh words to children to anyone destroy their balance and the balance of the ones who yell, but when their thoughts of those instances come as memories, the low vibrations return too. Although with less intensity, written words also emit vibrations, so choose your words carefully to benefit those to whom you write on yourself, and select reading material that will lighten your heart and mind. It is your high vibrations that are connecting you with kindred spirits and causing reluctance to spending time with some individuals whose vibrations are low. When the latter kind of encounter can't be avoided, keeping your thoughts positive will enable you to stay balanced, and the light within balance will help raise the vibrations all around. We hope our message answers your many questions, clarifies confusion and corrects misperceptions, but if we have overlooked something, please let us know and we shall address it in a later message. Your understanding of what enables soul evolution is invaluable for evolution. Our beloved brothers and sisters, your courage, wisdom and spiritual strength from multiple lifetimes far exceed your conscious awareness, and in part this lack of recognition is the humility that is the essence of all light workers. You will retain that aspect of self even when you see yourselves as we always have seen you, and when you do, all of us will rejoice in the family reunion. Love and peace. Suzanne Ward. Website, The Matthew Books.